world of 1916 was complex, or the world of 1945 was complex, the world of 2016 is intensely complex. You'll be dealing with terrorists, you'll be dealing with hybrid armies, you'll be dealing with little green men, you're going to be dealing with tribes, you'll be dealing with national leaders and local leaders, you'll be dealing with politics and economics, and you'll be dealing with direct fire and indirect fire, and you're going to be dealing with it all, and it's all going to be dealt with simultaneously.
Well, thanks for joining us on a Saturday. We thought we would come in and bring in some more information about Orlando, the false flag shooting. It was an absolute attempt again against the Constitution to remove the amendments to take away our rights, the First and Second. And we need to remember, and I want you to listen to me very closely, that the people who were involved in this, all the actors, all the people who pretended to be victims, the ones who were the parents, you need to understand something, that they're involved in an attempt to disarm America, to turn us over to the enemy. That makes them every bit of a criminal, lawless, those that, a seditious, lawless act against the citizens, the good citizens, the law-abiding citizens, those who care about the Constitution, those who care about our freedoms. This whole thing is treasonous. It's disloyalty. And so they are the enemy. Now they're trying to portray anyone as a law-abiding Constitution follower as the enemy. This is a psyop. Everything that they are doing is to disarm us. When we are disarmed, then we are vulnerable completely to the enemy. That means, with the gun confiscation, you've got roundups, executions, exterminations. There'll be even court or judgment brought against people to be, beheaded. You think I'm crazy? You think I'm lying? Look at history. Look at what's going on around the world. Now, our forefathers, the ones who established our laws, the ones who established the amendments, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all of this, though there was a mixture of those who were Freemasons, they themselves knew what tyranny was. They came from it. They lived it. They experienced it. And they never intended for the laws to be altered and changed. Now, they also said, you'll be free as long as you can keep the Constitution. So they know that in time things deteriorate, and so it was a matter of time. And so we have those who are Zionists, we have those who say they are Jews, we have those who say that they are good people of the world, United Nations. They're Illuminati. They're reptilian, they're of Satan's seed, they are evil. And this is being orchestrated by them. And this time they got caught red-handed before going too far. Sandy Hook, those things, Aurora, those things of 9/11, and several other false like Boston bombing. Everything was staged. Did people get hurt? They can get hurt. Did anyone die on this one? Julie says no. And I agree with her. I think the whole thing was completely orchestrated in great detail, but they did a sloppy job in the media, and those people who they hired as actors, their information is all over the place. Now, it's being removed, but since Julie got on it so quickly, she got most of that before they took it away. So I want everyone to understand that we're also talking about Trump, Because one, he's calling for the control of what he calls assault weapons. Now remember, that's a psyop. The term assault weapons, no, it is a semi-automatic rifle. Whether it's a carbine, meaning it's a little smaller, depending on where the caliber, it can be used for hunting, it can be used for defensive. So it is not a, quote, assault weapon. That again is a psyop. It's a engineering of society to believe in a sense that the gun itself kills people, that we have to fear a weapon, when in reality there are weapons that, how many people were killed today in car accidents? How many people die in the hospital because they screw up? How many people commit suicide? When you look at those who use guns in crimes, you'll find that they're criminals who have been released back on the streets. That if the laws were done correctly and held and followed correctly, this stuff wouldn't happen. So to disarm the citizens is not the answer, but it is for them, because they want to take us out. Remember, they want order out of chaos. They want everything to go their way. They are evil. And I'm going to tell you again that Trump is in the middle of this. If you think he's a good guy, he's not even human. Same thing with Hillary, Hillebeast. All right? I mean, it's just, where do we go with all this, right? Well, we have to stand in truth. When we see something that is a lie, then as those who confess to be in Christ, those who confess to be in truth, then have to speak the truth. There is no other way around it. Because if we stay silent, then we're in agreement. I want everyone to understand that if you're in a relationship with somebody who's completely out of line, that there's a point in time that you are, an enabler. And being an enabler, even Jesus scolded the apostles for such behavior, because in that you allow people to continue in their sins instead of calling them out. You need to call them out to assure that your brother doesn't stumble. So what we have a tyrant government, which means that the people fear it, that they are out of control. They were never meant to be in the control that they're in. They've done this through intimidation, through false flags, through World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korean, all the others. And 9/11 was a significant change in our life because of the Patriot Act. And now you have the Department of Homeland Security, which has their fingers in every law enforcement agency across this country, and every agency has in their possession CDs or this DVD computer disc that they can put in their computers, that when they call martial law, it tells them what to do. You need to remember, like locally here, I'm in Kootenai County. What it can tell the deputies to do is that they then need to report to Bonner County. They need to go to another county or one even further away. Why? Because they're more likely to shoot the citizens there than they will in their own county, because they may know Joe, they know Frank, they know Mary, and they won't pull the trigger. But they will where they don't recognize a face. Do you see the psyops in this whole thing? This is the whole plan. For us to turn on ourselves. And the Civil War was the same thing. That was another Zionist act, and believe me, it worked. Because look at the bloodshed that happened in this country. So everything that we're seeing here is a false flag. This isn't an intent. We've got the rulings, the Supreme Court taking a look at banning what they, again, call assault weapons. And so this whole thing is staged to get the public behind it. That's what 9/11 was for the Patriot Act. So there you go. And again, I want to tell you one more time that every actor, every law enforcement officer, every government official, everyone that was behind, everyone who played, everyone who assisted, everyone who's continuing the lie is treasonous. That means that you should be hung until dead. Period. It's time. We're sick of this. And if anyone thinks Trump is our friend, you're wrong. I mean, look at the bathroom thing, for goodness sakes. He thinks it's okay for perverts to come in and molest your children. How do you find good in that? How do you find good in being disarmed? Because if you're disarmed, believe me, the perverts are coming. All right, Julie, you got a lot, I know. I'm just going to turn it over to you. We're only going to go an hour tonight, maybe a little over, depending, but here we are for an update because you've got a lot of good information. So the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Right on. Okay, I wanted to just say thank you for, I had already seen several of these things, but there was a couple of listeners that sent some articles today. So they too went and looked at some of the things I mentioned last night, and they were able to see what I was talking about and sent like a confirmation about that. So I appreciate that some of you are doing your homework and you're actually going to look, because I can tell you this, but unless you go look at it for yourself, it's, once again, it's hearsay. Now, here's another thing. When Scott was talking about taking our weapons, you need to understand something. The word assault, look it up in the dictionary. To assault or assault, that's an action. That is an action word. Okay? A gun cannot commit an action unless a human being commits the action first. Okay? And we hunt with those type of guns that were these quote-unquote assault weapons. They're actually a hunting rifle. Okay? That's what they are. AR-15s are hunting rifles. And they come in different calibers. So you can have one that shoots 223, you have 300 blackout. So you have different types of those that you can use to go hunting. Well, if you're shooting hogs and they're big and they're tough, you might want to use your 300 blackout. If you're shooting something smaller, then, whatever. That's how these, but they are hunting rifles. And this is what, in Texas, those rifles are used for, is hunting. So a lot of people here like to hunt. So the fact that they're calling it by a word that is actually not even true, it'd be like saying, a 308 is an assault rifle or a 30-06 is an assault rifle. They're just 243s an assault rifle. It's not. They're hunting rifles, semi-automatic. So, we have to change. They're changing the lingo because they want to scare you. It's all a psyop, just like he said, to make you fear a gun. It's not the gun you need to fear. It's the people they're bringing into this country. Now, I'm not going to make this about Muslims bringing them in, because I'm going to tell you, here's what they're doing. The desired effect is to have all of you jumping up and down, screaming, you see, those damn Muslims, you brought them damn people in here, look what's happening. Rah, 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 rah. That's what they want you to do. Okay? That's the idea, the feelings, and the emotions they're trying to provoke. All right? When the bottom line is, it had nothing to do with this man being a Muslim. And by the way, he was a homosexual. He was an outed, out-of-the-closet gay man by testimony of his ex-wife, all his friends, the people at the club. He was a regular there. He had 14 of the homosexual applications out, and these are the things that you when you want to meet somebody that's homosexual or whatever, it goes for straight people too. He had 14 of those out for 14 different men that he wanted to hang out with. Okay, so it was no secret that he was homosexual. And I'll give you a little bombshell: Muslim men are homosexuals. Okay, and I don't know one that isn't, because they're raped from the time they're little. I mean, I told you a story the other night about these men in Afghanistan that brought their wives to the army doctors and were saying, hey, they don't get pregnant. And they kept telling them none of them get pregnant. So finally, after all the tests and all the wives were normal and fine, the male doctors sat down the males and the women, medical staff sat down the women, and come to find out, the man said, well, the doctors, how are you, doing things? And he told them how he was doing it, and they said, you have to, have sex go the other route to get your wife pregnant. And every one of those Muslim men were disgusted by that thought and said, you do that with your wives? You're disgusting. So they're sodomized from the time they're little, and that's what they know. And because they're never allowed to be alone with a woman, you know how kids will have a date here and there, they're not allowed. They can't, no. So they never even know what to do with the opposite sex. The only reason they ever get married is so that that person can give them sons. That's it. So you have to put this in the context. These people are psychotic. They're all these Muslim men. I've never met one yet that wasn't sodomized and sodomizes children and then has sex with men. That's just, it's in their society. So the fact that they say they hate gay people, that's a lie. They are the most homosexual community I've ever seen besides the Jews. And they're just as bad with sodomy. So this whole thing is to get you to go, I hate Muslims. We got to get them out of here. Okay? They want you to go off in that direction instead of looking at what's really going on. And I noticed there's a very popular show dude that's here in Texas, and the first thing he started screaming about was, it's those Muslims. Oh. And I went, well, that figures, because he's controlled opposition, throwing up the goat head every time he talks. So, this is the problem, is that you're being fed information to elicit a certain type of response out of you. Fear, anger, terror, panic, hatred of Muslims, hatred. It's not like I care for their lifestyle either, but this is not the point. This is not what's happening. So last night I explained the occult side of this, okay? And I also want to say, Scott, I was very, very upset. In some of my research today, one of the things that I found out that absolutely sent me over the edge, one of the people who are a very good reporter, he's a very good journalist, he does good work, he retracted a story that he did, and every word that he said when he explained why he did it, I could tell they got to him. They got him, and they threatened him, and that's why he retracted the whole thing. Now, you know what? This is jackboot censorship. Threaten this man. I could tell by the way he was talking, and each point he was making that he withdrew, he had been threatened. So I'm going to tell whoever these people are that are going around threatening people who report on these stories, you better not even think about saying one thing to me or doing anything against me, because I have freedom of speech, and I will exercise that freedom of speech, and I have the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. And the first time that someone comes on my property and threatens me, you better have a body bag. And you better understand that right now. You do not threaten journalists, especially when they're telling the truth. This is what they don't want. And Scott, it has begun. It has begun. This guy's a great reporter, and he retracted his whole story. So, you know what, Scott? This is where they start coming down on people and saying they want to make it illegal for us to even voice an opinion. Folks, that's where we're at. And last night I gave you the occult side of it. What is the occult and this whole thing? Last night I told you there was a man named Paul Weissapal, okay? Special agent in charge. He's the SAC agent. That's what they call him. Whoever's the SAC agent. Hey, there's a crime scene. Who's the SAC agent here? That's who's a special agent in charge, okay? So that's what they're looking at. That's what they call him. So I said, this name, this last name of Weissapal, that is not a name. And knowing the occult and how they work, when I see names like that, I immediately say something's wrong. That is not a name. This is not right. This is fake and it's made up. Well, if you take SAC, Special Agent in Charge, SAC, Paul, Weisselpal, and you rearrange the letters, you come out with all you see was a psyop. Folks, tell me, do you think that's a coincidence? It's a mighty big one. That his name with SAC, the SAC agent, SAC and his name works out to all you see was a psyop. And I would like to ask you, do you think that what are the statistical probabilities that would happen? The crime with all of this stuff that supposedly happened was on Orange Avenue. Orange is 33, and Masonic occult in the occult, the numerology 33, and Esther is the English pronunciation for the goddess Ishtar or Astarte or Ashtar. Esther, that's the English equivalent. So you have a goddess, and then you have the street of Orange, which is 33. Not an accident. Okay? And if you listen to last night's show, you're going to get a whole lot of information that shows you this was not an accident. Okay? You see, they make sure that they go out of the way to show you the businesses right around there. Dunkin' Donuts. Okay? They made sure you saw that in all the clips. Well, what does that work out to? In Jewish gematria, it means Freemasonry. In English gematria, it means Twin Towers. Get it? And by the way, the 1912 Orange Avenue, it equals 13. So I have a lot more pointed information last night. Like I said, the one victim, Tiara Parker equals 33, just like Robbie Parker at Sandy Hook, Allison Parker at Virginia Tech, Parker, which equals 33. Okay? Mateen, the guy that supposedly did the shooting, Mateen and his age 29 equals 33 in gematria. Okay? This is not an accident. 50 dead and 53 wounded, that's 103. And in gematria, you take out the 0, that's 13. Okay? And the girl who, Tiara Parker, was wearing a butterfly necklace, the mother that supposedly lost her son, was also wearing butterfly. Okay? That's indicative of the MK Ultra, the mind control, Monarch program. Okay? You'll see a lot of the stars with butterflies on their albums, butterflies in their pictures. You'll see that because that's what it means. You've been successfully mind controlled. Okay? Secondly, when Tiara Parker was testifying to being shot with a .223 round, she was up running around doing whatever she wanted all over the place, raising her arms up in the air like Jesus Christ, supposedly been shot on the side from front through to the back. Not going to happen. She wouldn't be moving. She'd be in a hospital down on complete morphine right now. She wouldn't be able to speak. Breathing would hurt without morphine. Breathing. Okay? This whole thing is just a big fat joke. And they think you're going to swallow it. And let me tell you what kind of a big fat joke this is. Do you know how much money they've raised in just the last 4 days in GoFundMe? $6 million. Don't you love that number? It just keeps popping up all the time. 333-666. $6 million. Do you think that the money isn't good when people get their heartstrings tugged on? Do you know what some of these people are saying to people like me? You guys are like Hitler. How dare you speak out against these pobre so people? Come on. Patience Carter, her name is a 555. Okay? 555 is death. 5 is death. 555 is magnified 3 times. In magic, that's the most powerful spell that you can do is magnification of 3. And supposedly everybody's taking on her, the crisis actress, calling her a crisis actress. Well, it is kind of weird, folks. Did you know she works for Fox News? She just so happened to go on vacation. She just so happened to pick Orlando, Florida, and she just so happened to pick that club on a night when it just so happened to be a shooting that just so happened out of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, she was shot, but she looks like nothing ever happened to her. She's totally like, wow, look at me. You know, I mean, people do not get up and recover and can do all this from gunshot wounds within even my husband was shot with a .38 and down for 6 months. It took 6 months for him to even be able to do what he did to take care of himself. This is a bunch of bull, okay? And these people are counting on you believing it. Let me give you an example of an absolute stupid story. There's a doctor, and I definitely can see he's in on it, and he decided that he was running or something, right? And he says, oh, this terrible shooting, I must go and help. And so he goes in there. Now there's a picture of him. This doctor posted a picture of his running shoes that have some blood on them. And then in the picture, he's smiling ear to ear, like he's taking a photo for, you know, Men's Magazine. Are you kidding me? So he posted a picture of him with his shoes that had blood on there. These are my work shoes from Saturday night. They are brand new, not even a week old. I came to work this morning and saw these in the corner of my room, my call room, next to the pile of dirty scrubs. I had forgotten about them until now. On these shoes, now get this is how completely stupid he sounds. On these shoes, soaked between its fibers, is the blood of 54 innocent human beings. I don't know which were straight, which were gay, which were black, or which were Hispanic. What I do know is that they came to us in a wave upon wave of suffering and screaming and death. And somehow, in that chaos, doctors and nurses and technicians and police and paramedics and others performed superhuman feats of compassion and care. This blood which poured out of those patients and soaked through my scrubs and shoes will stay me forever. In these Rorschach patterns of red, I will forever see their faces and faces of those that gave everything they had in those dark hours. There is still an enormous amount of work to be done. Some of that work will never end. And while I work, I will continue to wear these shoes. And when the last patient leaves our hospital, I will take them off, and I will keep them in my office. I want to see them in front of me every time I go to work. For on June 12th, after the worst of humanity reared its evil head, I saw the best of humanity come fighting right back. I never want to forget that night. Give me a break, a sloppy break. Are you kidding me? You're going to wear blood-soaked shoes. Give me, you know what? It's so laughable that it's pathetic. And he gives this speech. I think he got that out of a movie. I've heard that somewhere before. I mean, it's ridiculous. So then, you know, there's another complete, I mean, you notice how they completely overdo it. All of these people that they're interviewing are completely going over the top. A kid named, last name Moss, he was there and he couldn't find his friend, and this was a few days later, and he's going, I can't take it. I don't know where it is. I'm going, and the whole, like, excruciating 18 minutes of an interview, he was talking like he was going to fall off the edge. Never shed a tear. Not one. I'm just like, wow, this is so contrived. And so you get this one woman that's shot in the side, Parker, 33, and she says that the man told her, are there any black people in the stall? Let's just throw the race issue in there. Why don't we? We'll kill 3 birds with one stone. We'll do the LGBT issue, the gun issue, and the racial issue, okay? So he said, is there any black people? Why would a shooter stop and say, is there any black people in the stall? He was going to spare the black people. But he'd already shot up, I don't know how many of them. Patience Carter was black. The girl, her cousin was black, and she supposedly died, not. And then this girl's black. And he said to me, his exact words were, I want America to stop bombing my homeland and bombing my country and my people in Iraq. Well, excuse me, that was your sworn testimony, Ms. Parker. Isn't it funny that Omar Mateen wasn't from Iraq? Would you like to know where he's from, T.L. Parker? I think you forgot your line while you were crisis acting. He was from New York City. Parents were actually from Afghanistan. Wrong country, dear. You need to start over. Then you have a woman crying about how she's this assault ban weapons. Can we just do assault ban? Like she's so terrified of guns. Well, I do a little background check on her, and let's see who she is. Michigan State Police. And if you go look, and so is her husband, if you go look at their patches they sew on their shirts, their uniforms, square and compass, Masonic, square and compass, and the 2 pillars with flames, okay, the Kabbalistic flames. This is what's on their patches. So we all know who they belong to, okay? So this is the occult stuff, and that's just a tiny bit of what I went over last night. So then today, I know there's more to the story, and I keep digging. Let's see, what did I find out today? Today was an interesting day because I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to start with the 911, the emergency broadcast. Now, any reporter, any journalist can do this. Anytime there's anything, they can check it anytime. You can just go on and check. There's a parent company that records all 911 calls, all emergency transmissions, 24/7, 7 days a week, and they archive these. You can go back 2 years ago and get the archives. And this is so journalists and reporters or whatever can go listen to these broadcasts for if they're doing a news story or whatever. Isn't it funny that whenever I thought, well, let's just go take a listen to these 911 calls that Omar Mateen supposedly made. Folks, there's another coincidence. All the other coincidences, we have another one, folks. Guess what? From 12 a.m. to 3 a.m., during those hours when all those transmissions would have been made, surprisingly, it's completely scrubbed. And what did they say? The owner of the company, I wanted to inquire as to why this happened. His statement was, our servers went down. We're going to try to recover that content. Scott, I want you to weigh in here because you explained to me how that's not possible. Will you please do that?
Well, an agency, like the county, generally is funded by the state to do the 911s. So when you call in because of fire, ambulance, and police, and sheriff, because those are usually the counties, then what they have to do is a responsibility. So you can have a digital coding or recording, excuse me, and then you can have a tape. And generally they run both as a backup. So even though they partitioned it to a third party, which they really shouldn't have done anyways, that the county themselves are under the responsibility to record it. So regardless of where they go for it, it should be in 2 places. Now even servers themselves have 2 that run in parallel, and they constantly go back and forth, and they update each other, and and maybe some other people could give more into that. But again, the whole thing is ridiculous because when it comes to digital information, it's easy to lose it. So they already know and have put in place mechanisms to assure backup. So whatever they're trying to tell us, again, is just more of the lie itself. So there you go.
Thank you, because I really was quite dissatisfied with the man's answer. I don't pretend to understand all of that, but I knew there was no way that this could not have been backed up in some way, shape, or form, because you just don't do that. I mean, they have these recordings for trials for all kinds of stuff that they use, when people are committed a crime, and call 911. So anyway, I just knew there was something stinking. But it was only from 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. when that stuff took place, and that's what was scrubbed. So I thought, well, let's check surrounding counties, right, or surrounding cities, because, surely they've got something. Name the city around Orlando, and everybody said no. Okay, then I think, well, let's check surrounding counties, and let's see how that works. Okay, name a county all the way down to the bottom of the state, and they all said no. They had no transmission of it. Do you see how fishy this is getting? That all the other times they have this, but between 12 and 3 a.m. they have zero, nada, zip, zilch. Okay? So then I said, that's another one of those things that was a big coincidence. So I said, I'm going to check into his daddy. I want to know more about his papa. So I start checking into daddy. Boy, did I find a treasure trove of information about his papa. His dad, who was in Florida, is from Afghanistan. They have a home in Florida. And you guys just won't believe. You won't believe who this man is. I was shocked. This man just had a meeting with the State Department and political members at the White House. He just met with the State Department. Would you guys like to know why he met with the State Department? Do we know what he's doing? He made a deal. This is his deal. This is what he's doing. He's making a deal to keep the heroin and all the poppy fields filled up and all that stuff coming this way. This is what he's doing. He just met with them because he's seeking a bid for the president of Afghanistan. Yes, folks, you heard it right. He wants to be the president and is running for president in the country of Afghanistan. So he just decided to go have himself a little meeting with the State Department and with the political members of the Congress. So he goes and has this meeting. He just so happens to be running for president in Afghanistan, and his son just so happened to they needed a shooter, and his son, they just so happened that he was available. Are you seeing this whole mess? Are you guys seeing it's something stinks? So this man has close ties to our government. Okay, they keep it all in the family, don't they? Shooters, the whole 9 yards. Okay, so I found that he is quite the New World Order player with Afghanistan and in this country. So I thought, that's amazing. That's amazing. What else can we find out about this guy? Well, as I started looking into Mr. what's his name, Omar, that he's a homosexual, the wife made a statement that he's a homosexual. He's been that way forever. So then I started digging a little bit more, and what do I find? Omar Mateen was an actor. Isn't that amazing? Oh, and by the way, Scott, when I got this information last night, I got to tell you, I got it last night. This morning, I'm glad I got it all last night, or was able to get it before. They went on to that site, and they scrubbed some of his information off of the IMDb page, okay? So, but I got it before they did that. I don't know when he did it or when they did it, but I got it before they did that. And it shows that he was in a gay movie called Love City, Jalalabad. Love City, Jalalabad in Afghanistan. This was a movie, gay movie, whatever, and he's there listed in the credits. There he was, 2013. You guys can look that up. He was also in a movie called The Big Fix. Many of you may have heard of that movie because I certainly have. So he was in a movie called The Big Fix. And I watched his role and his part and was completely shocked at everything. And then I decided, okay, let's look at this one guy named Luis Verano. Well, I decided to look into him because they've got him, he's plastered all over television, and I want to find out who this guy is. Well, it just so happens that he was in a video with a band called Spirit of Orlando, and the song, and then the video they did to the song was called Shooting Up. And by the way, this was done right prior to the shooting. Shooting Up. I watched pieces of the video. It's disturbing. There's a lot of occult symbolism in there. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background that if you're not versed in that stuff, you'll never get it. But I'll do that for another time because it's a lot. Okay, it says that he was a top-billed cast member of the video Shooting Up and with the band of Spirit of Orlando. Carry your heart on a broken platter. You're so attached to it. Shards of glass turning away. You know, that sounded really weird to me, really familiar. So as you go back and start reviewing some of the testimonies of the people who were in this big shooting, it's amazing how some of those people said exactly those same words. Shards of glass. Shards of glass turning away. I couldn't believe that was used by a couple of the victims, those words. Oh, shards of glass, and the helping hand. I thought that was, okay. And then I get to looking into his background, Mr. Luis Bourbano. He has been in a movie called The Sacred. He was in a movie called BFF. He was in a movie called Less Lost. He was also in a movie called Burn Notice. Now, I personally know of Burn Notice and BFF. Yes, do know what they are. And so he was an actor. He starred in several movies. So I thought, well, that's odd. That's like how many people, Scott, have I rattled off right now that I found that were actors. Patience Carter was also listed as an actor, and she works for Fox. So I just have to wonder how that happened. So many coincidences going on here. It's just amazing. And so the testimony of some of the people was that the shooter was supposedly angry at gays kissing. Now, 2 people testified word for word. One person said we were out walking in the park or whatever, and he saw these 2 men kissing, and he got angry. His dad said him and I were out taking a stroll in the park, and he saw these 2 guys kissing, and he got angry. I mean, it was word for word, the same testimony from his dad and another gentleman, okay, that he was with taking a walk. He must take a lot of walks. And that he was angry. Now, I find that really strange because he was an open, practicing homosexual. He was not in the closet. Okay, everybody knew he was gay. He was, meeting guys online and all what have you, okay? So I definitely know that whole thing those are just out-and-out lies. Okay, they're lies. So then I say, well, let me go look at who did this at the beginning of this video, a word pulls up, a name, it says PharmaCorp. Okay? So I said, you know what? Let me look, and their mantra says changing the industry one client at a time. So you go to their webpage, and it's amazingly desolate. It's like nothing there. It's like, okay, what does that mean, changing, and then nothing's here. So I get to look, and I click on this one part, and there's a blue cross. Okay, there you go, blue. And it's one of those chubby crosses. And I start looking at that, and I said, well, what is that? My, what do we have here? We have what looks like bullet holes all in the cross and trailing off of the cross, bullet holes. That would be left by, I don't know, semi-automatic rifle maybe. That's what it looked like to me. So at this point, I'm extremely suspicious of who PharmaCorp is. And isn't it amazing that you can't get any information about that company? I find it very difficult to understand why you have a website, but with nothing on it and no one can get any information. Secondly, they're like in Sugar Hill, Georgia. I said, sugar, white powder, sugar, there you go. This is how they think, people. This is what they do, okay? So, Scott, every time I turn around, just like the uncle of the Boston boys that supposedly did the Boston shooting, you know, he was on TV being hailed as a hero because he said his nephews were losers because of what they did, but nobody mentioned or thought to mention or disclose that this guy was married to the daughter of the CIA director. I mean, you know, the duplicitous, it goes all the way, the whole thing, through every avenue is duplicitous. These people, you can't even imagine to the extremes that they go. And what they're doing is a couple of radio show hosts are now going with this Muslim gone crazy aspect, and now they're saying that, you know, we got to get these people out of here and all this stuff. But you see what? That's not what's going on. See, they want you to get pissed at the Muslims, divide and conquer the black people, divide and conquer the Hispanics, divide and conquer. Do you understand? That's what they're doing. They want us to hate each other and have factions of people fighting. So this is why they do this. So if you're reporting on this and you're going half-cocked on this Muslim thing, well, these Muslims are crazy, we got to get them out of our... Okay, first of all, they don't need to be in our country. They need to be shipped back where they came from and never allowed here because their political ideology does not have anything in common and cannot be catered to in a society with the Constitution and Bill of Rights that we have. They're not, those two things cannot get along. Okay, so they need to go home, every one of them. Women, children, all. Take them home. Get them out of here. But that's not what happened here. Okay, the guy was a homosexual. He was a known gay man. He worked for G4S Secure Solutions. Can I tell you what G4 is? It's 11. 11 and SS. Anybody ever heard of the SS? 11, that's what it is. 1, 11, 11. That's what that equals. The G4S Secure Solutions is 11, is 1, 11, 11. Does anybody remember me talking about the 11, the Master Mason number? Okay, this is their gateway, the 2 pillars, false messiah, yada, yada, yada. There you go. So this is what they're doing. And the entire thing is ridiculous because they're trying to divide and conquer. So please, friends, do not let these people turn you against a race of people. You know, the black people that are participating in this, shame on you. Shame on you. You're lying. You said he told you he was said to quit shooting up his country and killing his people in Iraq, Miss Parker. Lie, lie, lie. Because somebody else said he said that, but they didn't say Iraq. Because he's not from there, and his family's not from there. They're from Afghanistan, for crying out loud. He's running for president in Afghanistan. Stop lying. You're only soiling the reputation of your own people. I'm Hispanic and Native American Indian. And you know what? The way I behave can make white people think ill of me. Well, those Mexicans, you know how they are. So you know what? You go around and you act that way, and you wonder why these white people think that way. You wonder. You're adding to the whole ball of wax with these white people. And the same thing goes for white people and Hispanics. We have a duty to not look at another race and think ill of them, even though people like her and these other participants are absolutely giving people a lot of reason to be mad. We cannot allow them to do that to us, okay? Scott is a good person. He's a good man. He's white. I'm Hispanic and Native American. We're all different colors and people, races. But this is what they're doing, divide and conquer. And you know what? A house divided against itself cannot stand. So this is what they're doing. They got 3 birds with 1 stone. The black stuff going on in there, the LGBT stuff going on in there, and the assault weapon. So, you know, Scott, I believe that their task, their goal, is to divide us all, split us up, and when Chris Dorsey from the Virginia militia came on that program, and this guy told him, what are we going to do about all these assault weapons? What are we going to do, sir? What do you think? And they had him on the show. He blew that guy out of the water, and if he had known, he probably lost his job for having that guy on the show. Because I thank you right now, Chris Dorsey of the militia, the Virginia militia, for standing up for us. He said, it's the government doing all these things. They have weapons of mass destruction. They have all the weapons. It's the government doing all these false flags and hoaxes, trying to get everybody to take away everybody's weapons. And he told that guy what for. And the guy was shocked, stumbling over his words. But I want to say thank you to Chris Dorsey. And if you hear this, Chris Dorsey, I want you on the show. I want to say thank you personally, because what you did, you were offered a spot on a radio, not a radio show, television program, and you stood for the truth, and you put that guy in his place. And you know what? I just say, right on, brother. And Scott, I'll try to get you that video, because I couldn't believe. The guy couldn't even think what to say. He was literally stumbling over his words because of what Chris Dorsey did.
Yeah, I actually had the opportunity to see it and watched it all the way through. And when Dorsey was done, the media guy came in again and tried to bring up the fact that these guns were the problem. He got himself in a loop. It didn't work out for him so well, and you're right. I'm sure he really got smashed for that one. Julie, you're right. We are either citizens of this country or we're not. The color of our skin has nothing to do with it. Because you understand, ladies and gentlemen, that they wish to destroy us all. That's why we were talking about it. It doesn't matter whether you're Christian or whether you're in the occult. We're all in the same situation. And so we need to understand who our enemy really is. Because they can blame Christians, they can blame Muslims, they can blame whatever, but the ultimate goal, just as Albert Pike laid out, is a new world order. And in that is tyranny. And in that is a situation that puts us all in bondage. And the other two is, if you're extremely young, if you're extremely old or older, then most likely you're not going to be a benefit to them. And so you need to understand one of the reasons they're eliminating so many children is to keep the numbers down. But in order to sustain children, you have to have people take care of them. You have to have a mechanism. You have to have the ability to supply and people to do it. So they would just eliminate children. I know nobody talks about that, but I know that's exactly what they're going to do. And then when you get to the older people, they're going to eliminate them. And then in the middle, the ones within the age that they think can contribute to this new world, then they're going to segregate them and determine who is going to be obedient. So I want to state again, as I stated in the very beginning, to close it, I don't know how much, if you have any more or not, Julie, but let me bring this up. These people are treasonous that are doing this. Now, and technically, Obama is not a treasonous. He technically is a spy. So I'm calling for the laws of this country and the way that they deal for spies to be brought on to Obama, because him and his cronies are involved in this. Same thing with Trump. Same thing with the Bushes. Same thing with Hillary. They're all in on this. See, they're all socialists. They're all communists. They're all Illuminatis. And so we need to understand that no good is found in them. They are the depths of Satan. They are demon-possessed. Most of them are not human. And this is their tactic because we have such high numbers in the United States. So many people are armed that what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it look like those who have guns then are the problem, when that's not the case. And so we haven't seen the last of this, part of this is what we're doing is for you to understand that the next time it comes around, you can start looking at this stuff too and seeing. And the point of it is, if we expose it and expose it enough, then they'll back off. Hopefully. Anyways, so Julie, you want to close out with something? You don't worry about the time, but go ahead and if you want to finish out with something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I have people say, well, you guys speak out and things can happen and this and that, but we have to remember something. No matter if you're a New Ager, you're a witch, I don't care what you are, an atheist or a regular Joe. I don't care. At this point, well, I do care. I would like you to come to Christ, but the point is to save your life. You know what? You're worth it. You are worth something. You are valuable because Jesus said you were. And he's my Lord and Savior, so if he is that way and I have him in me, I feel that way too. So you people out there that are not, that don't belong to Jesus, and believe me, I'm not a Christian. Just remember I said that. I'm a follower of Jesus, not a Christian, because those people give Jesus a bad name. But the point is that he is the only thing that can save this country and the world, period. I'm telling you, this is out of control. These people are beyond evil, and most of them aren't even human, okay? We'll get into that another time. But right now, we are coming up on a horrible, horrible time, okay? Tonight, tomorrow night, and then the next night is the summer solstice. And this is a huge time for them to sacrifice many, many children. Hundreds of thousands of children will die on the summer solstice to sacrifice to their god, Lucifer, because they love him. And they're very committed to sacrificing to him. And every single person that they can kill as a sacrifice to Lucifer, they're going to do it. Okay, this is not going to be the last of this because I'm not done. I am going to continue to dig on every single person that opens their trap. If I see them being interviewed, I'm going to find out everything I can about them. I want to know the last time that they went to the bathroom. I am not kidding, because these people need to be exposed. They need to be exposed for who they are. And you know what? We have First Amendment rights, and we can say whatever we want. If we believe it's a false flag, we can say that. And I've given you the occult side of it and a lot of information that wasn't occult about the daddy being running for president of the United States and just happening to meet with the State Department and political members just the other day before all this mess happened. So, I just want you to think critically about these things. Please don't be a sheeple. They're counting on you to be stupid. And you know what? They laugh at people who are stupid. They laugh at them. George Lucas said, we make movies telling them what we're doing, and they're so stupid they don't even see it. And Mark Twain once said, it is easier to fool people than it is to convince them that they've been fooled. That was Mark Twain. And more right he could not be. Okay? So I think it's important that you go look at the stuff I've told you. Go look. Everything I found, you can find. Okay? Go try to find an emergency broadcast between the hours of 12 a.m. and 3 a.m. And then call the company and ask them how come it's not there. Because you will be one of many reporters and journalists, alternate media that's been calling and saying, hey, where'd that go? What's going on? Okay? And their excuses are hideous. And it just seems like it's one coincidence after another. And, folks, I don't believe in coincidences at all. And I know that I'm here today talking to you not by a coincidence, but because I was put here. Because most of you have no idea what evil even looks like because you're nice people. You're good people. And you know why? They don't want you to know what evil is because you'll see it coming. So all these churches have kept you from understanding the dark side. Well, you know what? You have to know your enemy. You got to know them. You got to know what they do. You want to see their plans, their playbook, right? So it's time that you guys learn the playbook of the enemy so that you can actually fight back. And you tell them you're not taking my guns away. And by the way, Scott, Tuesday morning, there are 11 gun ban bills. I read every single one of them that are going to be brought. They've already passed the first house like 2 weeks ago. They already passed the first House. So, amazingly, they weren't scheduled to be heard through the second House until Tuesday, this Tuesday. That's when they were actually scheduled to be heard. Isn't it funny that they passed the first House, and the second House is where most of these bills die? Any bill that you try to get passed, if it's going to die, it's the second House when that happens. So they delayed the second House hearing of these 11 gun ban bills in California until this coming Tuesday, and this event took place. So now we got them fired up. Yeah, fire them up. Kill a bunch of people. Tell them we killed everybody. Tell them it was a mass slaughter. Yeah, and then they'll be real hyped up. And so the very next week we'll spring all those 11 bills on them. Got them. They're going to pass them. See my point?
Yeah.
So I didn't know if you knew that thought, but that's what happened.
No, but I do know that San Bernardino was another stage in order for that to take place. I wanted to bring, you mentioned running for president for the U.S. You meant Afghanistan, right?
Yeah, Afghanistan. That's right.
Okay.
Sorry.
I just want to make sure people understood. Okay. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, we know what's going on, and so we have to speak out. Because, again, the life we save may be your own. Because let me tell you, they don't like us. We're nothing but hogs that have to be fed. That's the way they see us. And we're talking about that's the way they see your kids. And this whole thing's unacceptable. So the only way they're going to achieve this is by taking our guns, and that's exactly what they're doing. All right, Julie, anything else? If not, we'll just close it out.
I'm done. I'll have more for you guys on Monday.
Okay, alrighty. And I want to thank everyone for joining us on a Saturday. We're doing the best we can to bring the information that we have. God bless everyone, and again, thank you for supporting this ministry. Good night.
Bye.